Let's listen to the way Luke put these verse by verse. In that famous story that only Luke offers us. This is the way Luke put it. Now as they went on their way, he entered a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him. He had a sister named Mary, who sat at Jesus' feet to listen to what he was saying. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks. So she came to him and asked, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her then to help me. But the Lord answered her, Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. But few things are needed. Indeed, only one. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken. My brothers and sisters, this is the gospel. All God's people said, Amen. Perhaps you notice in your internal dialogue what a woman in a former church said after the service was over. We really needed to give Martha more credit. She's been sort of criticized a lot, what she did, so on. And we could have a debate, like, can both things be true? When it looks as though in Martha's mind, it's either one or the other. You're even helping me, or you're not helping. It was like a toggle back and forth. Binary system, if you will. Help me or not help. But the issue for Martha is, he needs help. And Mary ignored her, right? So how can we kind of reconcile this? Because have you ever been to a party in which you admonish the guest, tell my sister or my brother or my relative to help me? Doesn't it matter to you that he's not doing that? Kind of embarrassing, wouldn't it be to the guest to tell them, ought he not to be helping me? And Jesus comes in right off the center. Martha, Martha, you're distracted, as Lisa presented. So things that distract, they take us off the track, or distract. It's like a train pulling off the track, or distract. So Jesus tries to set her straight. But I'd like to suggest there are really two dimensions going on. One is the busy work away, prepare the meal issue. The other is this quiet stillness in which Mary forgot about her sister, right or wrong. She forgot about her sister because she was wrapped, not just in the words I'd like to suggest, but in the present of Jesus. Because it's in that experience by faith of present that we get to understand. Not with our mind or figuring things out, but we get to get the connection is by our presence to Jesus and His presence to us. One of my favorite writers of the 13th century, heard me mention him, Meister Eckhart, who has become in modern times very, very much present to a lot of people that are trying to learn about mystics. That strange word that we think only a few people get. No. We're all potential mystics. But now we approach it. It's not some esoteric thing. It's something I can touch. And one of his stated the poetry to us is this. If you seek God, prior expectation, you might get what you expect, but you'll know nothing of God. Because God always hides in the dark of our knowing. But if you seek God without any idea about who or what God is, you'll find yourself one with the one. And in this light, find yourself joined to the one who is always love without beginning or end. The simplicity of who God is. We try to make it a little bit more conceptual. We try to make it a little more complicated. And that, according to Meister Eckhart's friend, we can lose the sense of God. Because God always hides the dark of our knowing. That's why saints like John of the Cross had the dark night of the soul. He suffered greatly, really at the hands of his own people in his community. But what happens is, he discovered in the dark night luminous presence of Jesus. That's what elevated him. Maybe not in a sense of being more comfortable, but it elevated him to an other dimension awareness of God. The act of being present. To think of the word present, what the goal. It's not like a goal that we're going to achieve. It's just, are you present? Our meaning is God present. Whether you fail it or you just believe it by faith to know that God is present. I'd like you to stay with that thought. Without trying to picture it, just believe it. And when you're sitting in quiet, as best that you can, just be aware. Pure awareness. God is love, and God is loving. Without too many complicated concepts and goals. This phrase is attributed to Francis of Assisi. Preach the gospel at all times, when necessary, use words. Paradox of them. That words can often mask, can also hide what it is that's underneath what I and other preachers really want to say. So it's my plea that you or I don't get lost in the wordage of this. Just silence before that. That's the way Mary. She was wrapped in silence. She was in another dimension. Martha was in one dimension, and Jesus said, "It's not going to be taken away." Once you get in that sense of who God is and how God is interacting with you in the silence, in the quiet, in the still, that's the experience by faith. Not necessarily any emotion, just the belief that the God created and is continuing to create. By God is continuing to create creation because it's out of time. When you let God be God, God let you be okay for God. They're reciprocal. Mutual. Hoping to understand, if not with our minds, the soul. And this is all by faith, it's not by human knowledge. Once you try to figure out who God is, you don't have that search for God. You're busy trying to figure it out. Stop. Little by little, God. If we haven't expected this, Meister Eckhart, of what it would be like to know God already awake. Those paradoxes, so delightful. Trying to figure it out. Don't have it. So Martha was lost in her work. She got wrapped up, distracted, because she wanted to prepare a good meal. Very hospitable, very kind, very worthy. In that sense, it wasn't her self-assertion. It was just she felt she needed help. Just think about it. I do become and no wonder. Figure it out. It's as serious as your own existence. And wait. You're ready. Unexpected. Show God's presence. Mary surrendered to your awareness. Who was I wonder if they talked a lot. They didn't. Maybe they just sat in each other's presence. But that's kind of silence. Just trying to figure. Martha was bound on her own created dimension. Here's another brief little poetic expression. Meister Eckhart. If it is true, as the scriptures say, that God made the heavens and the earth, then it is also true that God is still making all that is. The many find light out of darkness. Order. So take heart and dare to break through. If only for a moment in your thinking. Set aside trouble. How's that? What trouble? What we're investigating in our mind. Rumination in our step back from it all. Lord, I notice that I'm getting obsessed by people. Be aware of that. When you step back, you're no longer wrapped in it. When you do it without awareness that the thoughts are driving you rather than distance. One of the phrases that I struck, God is so I think. What does he think God is so thing. So when we separate ourselves from the mental understanding that we think we're getting at by knowing God, the repercussions for us when we say God, what are they? For drifting away from our we can't wrap our minds in it. So we drop it together. Just Lord, I ask that you would help all of us just discover that quiet, that thing that we just can't fully figure out. Who can figure it out? We just know that you're loved completely, and when we rest in that love, we get to know and who we are. This is different. Lord, thank you. Yes, do some words, preaching, but hopefully in the silence after the rest of the service, time during the week, just be present as Mary teaches.